the wolf. Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy. As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired. Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl.
Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in four directions. This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. I'm here to ask you for your support. Finding honest Native-centered news is not easy, but with your support, we're able to provide accurate information about Standing Rock, Line 3, treaty violations, and COVID-19 in our Native communities. Please visit Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon and donate if you can. That's Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon. Pinigigi, and thank you for your support.
Hey, Ogama, I've been hearing a lot about this term, climate justice. What is that?
Climate justice is recognizing that the negative impacts of climate change don't affect all people equally. It also means transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more sustainable future. MN350 is one of the groups that's pushing for this transition to protect our futures. You can even get involved too.
That's great, especially since I'm concerned about pipeline projects like Line 3. How can I help MN350?
Just find them on Facebook or visit mn350.org.
Ramsey County's Transforming Systems Together initiative is rethinking how the county delivers services and invests in the community, including through grants. Grants are available to support individuals and organizations providing prevention services and serving vulnerable youth involved in child protection and foster care. To learn more and see if you or your organization qualifies, visit ramseycounty.us/TST grants. Applications are due by September 30th.
I heard sex trafficking happens a lot in Indian country. What is that?
Here are some of the real reasons why sex trafficking happens in Indian country. Unequal gender roles that were forced on us by colonization. Communities don't have enough resources. Silence around domestic and sexual violence. Lack of attention and justice for missing and murdered Indigenous people. There's a lot of behavior that keeps our communities out of balance. These are just a few true reasons why Native communities are targeted by traffickers. When these acts of violence happen in our communities, it opens us all up for exploitation.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lulia. Partly cloudy tonight with a low of 47, and showers and storms on Friday with a high of 56. Crooner's Supper Club has an exciting mix of shows on 3 stages to round out the summer season. Find the concert experience that's right for you at croonersmn.com. Crooner's Supper Club, just north of 694 off Central Avenue in Fridley.
Portions of Native Roots Radio may be pre-recorded.
It's a good day to be Indigenous.
Get up, stand up.
They are going to become more brutal.
Couldn't cut, hit me cut again.
Because all the hippies were trying to be Indians anyway.
They're going to become more repressive because it's a matter of dollars and their illusionary concepts of power.
Hey, Victor.
We must live in balance with the earth.
And also with recent happenings at Wounded Knee.
I am awake.
Welcome to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanja Hade. Hey, welcome to all our relatives in four directions. Hey, Cudahy to all of you. I greet you with a good heart. This is Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Robert Pilot, and we discuss local and national Native news and events. And as you know, Ogama, Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues.
And this portion of the show is brought to you by MN350, a grassroots organization fighting for climate justice.
So we got Robert Lilligren on today. We're going to talk some local and national Native news and regular news all over Turtle Island, what's going on and what's affecting us. But before we get to Robert, why don't we get to Ogama with the news that you don't hear anywhere else, our Native news as we see it. Welcome, Ogama.
Hi, Anin Bushu, everybody. I'm Ogama Gnu Akwe. I'm a citizen of the Red Lake Nation in northern Minnesota, and as always, I have some news for you today. The big thing that I want to talk about is from a press release that came out of the Wet'suwet'en area earlier this week. If you're not aware of what's happening up in Wet'suwet'en territory in what is known as Canada, the Coastal GasLink Company has been trying to drill under the Wedzin-Kwa River. And the Wet'suwet'en camp there, known as Coyote Camp, has been for approximately 2 years through their resistance camp with allies, sustaining blockades and effectively delaying construction, again, for about 2 years. Currently, earlier this week, Coastal GasLink equipment is now in position to drill beneath the Wedzin-Kwa River, which provides drinking water for the Wet'suwet'en people and is also a spawning ground for a key salmon spawning area. The Wet'suwet'en territory is unceded, unsurrendered, and sovereign, and the Wet'suwet'en people have never provided free, prior, and informed consent to the Coastal GasLink pipeline's destructive construction operations. This is according to the press release put out September 18th on their page. Wet'suwet'en community members have faced surveillance and harassment from the Royal Mounted Police and have dealt with a series of private security contractors. And they did sustain a 2-month-long blockade of this drill site called Coyote Camp until a series of militarized RCMP attacks on Wet'suwet'en community members and supporters resulted in a little more than a dozen arrests. So this is still happening. This is happening in real time up in British Columbia here. And the relatives who put out this press release say that they will never stop defending their Yinta the way our ancestors have done for thousands of years, and the pipeline will never be put into service, is what they are vowing at the end of this press release. If you're looking to follow more about the Wet'suwet'en territory story and what's happening up there against Coastal GasLink, you can go to Yintah, YINTAH access.com. Again, that's yintahaccess.com. You can pull up news, talk about the access point, access videos, media, and all of those things. This is something I've kind of been following quietly, and I know that I mentioned either late last year or earlier this year when all of those arrests happened. And it's, these are the same things that happen over and over again, right, Robert?
Yes, they do. And we're here to report it and keep people on their toes about it. So I appreciate you bringing this up. What's old is new. It's very disappointing, but I'm glad you're here to let all our people around Turtle Island hear this news.
Yes. Another really interesting article I've seen is from the Pacific Northwest. There's an Indigenous Midwifery group helping to revitalize birth practices in the area. So there's a program called the Center for Indigenous Midwifery, and people and families who are looking to birth in the Pacific Northwest now have access to culturally centered care and wellness. They're a nonprofit center, and they're based in Olympia, Washington, and they focus on culturally specific practices for pregnancy and birth. In 2021, they had about 100 events and served thousands of people. They have doulas, training, support circles, and workshops, and they're available sometimes through Zoom. So I just happened to stumble upon this, and as somebody who just recently, within the last year, went through a birth experience and is in the middle of nursing a child, I thought that that would be something that people might want to check out their Facebook or their social media or their YouTube. Again, it's the Center for Indigenous Midwifery. Excuse me. You can find more information at indigenous-midwifery.org. Really exciting that we're seeing so much more of that come up in and about Native country. Another one that I want to follow up on is that the Navajo Nation citizen Rosalind So was confirmed by the Senate Wednesday this week, and she's going to be leading the Indian Health Service as the first permanent director for the agency in 2 years. So I touched base when she was appointed to the position and nominated. Her nomination hearing was was in May. But she was officially confirmed on Wednesday. So that's really exciting too. Deb Haaland was at an event with the Bureau of Indian Education as well, and they visited Southwestern Indian Polytechnic Institute, and they were there to commemorate the school's 50th anniversary. And I had to do a little bit of research about this because I guess I feel like I'd heard the name, but I hadn't really looked too much into it. But the Southwestern Indian Polytechnic Institute is based out of Albuquerque, New Mexico. And it's one of the 37 tribal colleges and universities in the nation that are part of this big program. And they are they're celebrating 50 years, which is a long time as far as, Indian country goes, to have something like a college opening and having students coming in and running something like that. Robert, you know what it takes to run a school, right?
I know how to attempt to run a school. No, I'm just kidding.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's good ways and there's bad ways, and then there's ways. So yes, I've seen them all over my 30 years of education.
Yes, that was exactly what I want. And she happened to visit, Deb Haaland visited the school, and it happened to be National Voter Registration Day at the same time, which was yesterday, everybody. 2 days ago, Tuesday? It was Tuesday. So if you still haven't registered to vote, make sure you're getting to register to vote. Another thing I want to touch base on kind of before we start to wrap up here a little bit too, Robert, guess what I found out today?
You're pregnant.
No, I wouldn't announce it like that. That'd be too brave. That'd be too brave of me. Reservation Dogs was renewed for a third season.
Well, after last night's show, how could it not? It was unbelievable. Really, I'm still emotional about it, and I know you haven't. You're a binge watcher, so I won't say anything. But I'm sure you've seen all the memes all over Indian country on Facebook.
I've been trying to avoid them, actually, so no spoilers in the chats, if you would, people. I have not seen the last episode yet. Actually, I haven't seen the last 2 episodes yet. So if you all could just do me a big favor and just, don't tell me yet. Okay.
Yeah. Well, in all seriousness, after the show, I may be watching it again. So that's how it hit me in a good place. So that was just announced today that they are up for a third season, huh?
Yeah, I think so. It came through on my social media from the Reservation Dogs page directly as good medicine, and I think I agree with them for sure.
Definitely. Well, we'll have to reach out to Bobby and Dallas and the brothers and have them on again, and also congratulate them, because that's a huge deal. We'll be right back after the short break with Robert Lilligren. You're listening to Native Roots Radio Presents I'm Awake, and stay with us.
When we heal from our traumas,
When we face our fears,
let go of our addictions,
when we relearn our values,
when we live our teachings,
respecting our elders,
cherishing and honoring our children,
when we honor and take care of our spirit,
there will be no room left for sexual violence.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Hey, Ogama, I've been hearing a lot about this term, climate justice. What is that?
Climate justice is recognizing that the negative impacts of climate change don't affect all people equally. It also means transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more sustainable future. MN350 is one of the groups that's pushing for this transition to protect our futures. You can even get involved too.
That's great, especially since I'm concerned about pipeline projects like Line 3. How can I help MN350?
Just find them on Facebook or visit mn350.org.
Ramsey County's Transforming Systems Together initiative is rethinking how the county delivers services and invests in the community, including through grants. Grants are available to support individuals and organizations providing prevention services and serving vulnerable youth involved in child protection and foster care. To learn more and see if you or your organization qualifies, visit ramseycounty.us/TST grants. Applications are due by September 30th.
At Metro State University, students learn from expert instructors in high-demand degree programs such as healthcare, technology, cybersecurity, teaching, and business. As one of the most diverse universities in Minnesota, Metro State University is a flexible learning environment dedicated to equity, inclusion, and anti-racism. Explore more than 60 high-quality undergraduate programs at Metro State University's Open House, online October 11th through 13th, and in person October 19th and 20th. Visit metrostate.edu for details.
This is Winona LaDuke of Honor the Earth, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio. I'm Awake.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is brought to you by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Hey. We got Robert Lilligren of Native American Community Development Institute, NATCI. But before I get you on, Robert, we just touched a little bit about reservation dogs. And I want to read this that came out 17 hours ago about from Native Film Talk. And this kind of really touches me deep. They went on to say, few scenes in my life have brought up such a versatile reaction from me, where my body crumbles and I'm brought to tears from just seeing something on screen. All of us natives have felt this crap like deep within us. Felt the pain, happiness, frustration, glee, longing, and pride thinking of our ancestors. Those ancestors that fought for us to be here, and the ones who were never given the chance to fight because they were taken too soon. We feel them sometimes and know they are there. But this image shows they're always with us and always looking over us, always there to guide us. And that was the picture of Willie Jack with all these relatives behind her. It was very heavy. And again, I'm going to watch that again tonight just to because the fun thing, Robert, about reservation dogs is that you watch it one time and then you watch it another time, and there's like a lot of Native inside jokes and things like that. It's like people that used to watch the Flintstones. It was for adults and for kids, and now this is for the general public, and then us Natives. It gives a lot of good shout outs and fun inside jokes.
Yeah, and I saw that post well, very meaningful, and I see you have it up in the feed that it's been renewed now for its third season. I just read that today too. So good news all around.
Yeah, definitely. We haven't talked in a while, and
since this afternoon.
Right.
That is quite a while, I guess.
Yeah, well, I meant on the radio, but yeah, we did see each other, but you were busy working, so I couldn't power lounge in your office. And
yeah, it was intense, man. I was in the middle of an intense Zoom meeting when you came in, doing a lot of emotional labor this week, a lot.
Yeah, and before we get into what you can talk about nationally, I don't mind, if you don't mind, we could talk about a few things. When is this former president going to jail? Is he ever going to jail? I mean, now New York Attorney General, I believe, is suing the whole family. And I mean, if you were BIPOC or even just some regular Mo, you'd been in prison by now. I mean, what's going on?
Well, I think this New York case is really interesting, and it seems to me, he's so thuggy in the way that he runs his businesses, and so to me, it seems kind of poetic justice that he would actually go to jail first anyway on these kind of racketeering kind of charges, So yay, thank you, state of New York. And just to be clear, it's not his whole family. Tiffany Trump has managed to avoid being named in this, and then of course his youngest son. But yeah, I think this is a quicker way for Trump to go to jail is through these charges that are coming up through in the state of New York, than through the sort of federal, the insurrection kind of charges. Those seem a little hazier.
Right. And, it's just so funny, too, because Wendy and I talk, and it's like, well, even when he was running for president, I kept on saying, oh, don't worry, he's going to get beat in the next primary. Don't worry. And I don't know, he's slippery. He's
very slippery.
He's trickier than Tricky Dick. And you remember him from our younger years, President Nixon.
Right. Well, I was just reading some Fox commentary that they're kind of linking this back to Nixon and how the deep state took Nixon out as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so now there's sort of these historic echoes that I guess are supposed to be happening. And his niece, Mary Trump, I don't know if folks follow her, but she does excellent analysis. And she's talked about this, why he's so slippery and how he does it.
Yeah, and I don't want to get too deep on this, but I just have to say, by that book she wrote, he messed over his family, he messes over his employees, he messes over people that work for him, or I guess that isn't employees, but it's on and on and on, and now he messes over the country without any thought.
Yep, that's his style. And you were talking about when he was running and stuff, and sort of how unbelievable it was, to see him clear hurdles. And I would just remind us all that that election was won through direct foreign interference in our election system. So there's always that, right? But I remember as he got closer and closer, and it started to look like he might actually win the Republican Party nomination, and kind of watching that with disbelief. And I remember saying to my husband, I go, yeah, I said, he is not at all ready for the intense scrutiny that comes with holding an office like that. And I won't say it on the radio, but I said, yeah, he's not ready to have that flashlight up his behind, and that's what it is. And that's what it should be, right? When you're in an office like that, we should know who we're dealing with. And so now that all of this is coming to light, I'm not happy about it, but I do have to say I feel a little validated, because this is how I expected he would come down.
And if you believe what's the documentary or his name? I can't think of his name off the top of my head. But
Ken Burns?
No, we'll talk about that in a second. But no, about him, he ran for president as a lark because it was a power play, because he found out Gwen Stefani made more money than he did. With that whole thing, that how he ran for president and why he ran for president. If you remember, he didn't even have a campaign manager for the first 6 months of his campaign because it was a lark.
Right. And I always assumed at the beginning he was doing it to drive ratings on his TV shows,
right,
add to his brand value, which it probably was, right? And I was reading something just this week about comparing the stability of Biden's cabinet. He still has the same cabinet that he started with, and then the volatility and, revolving door of Trump's cabinet, which was just a joke. It just showed how little he really cared about the office, cared about the country,
Well, that first press secretary who said this was the biggest swearing in the history of the world, and you saw pictures and it was just like, are you kidding me?
Right. And actually I can't even remember his name, which is probably a good thing, but I do remember he went on Dancing with the Stars.
I was just gonna say that.
So there is a future.
Well, and what a difference between press secretaries too. But hey, let's talk about, I don't know, have you watched any of the U.S. and the Holocaust, the Ken Burns news series?
I have not. Have you? I have just saw an interview. He was on Stephen Colbert on The Late Show this week, I think, and it just looks fascinating and intense, and taking us in a step in the right direction of dealing with inflicted trauma, right? And
Right.
we have this conversation. That's the conversation you walked in on today, actually, in the office.
Yeah.
About this idea of parallel trauma, right? Trauma is a violent act. Not trauma, but a colonization or genocide, right? Violent act. And when violent acts are committed, there's trauma inflicted on the victims and trauma on the perpetrators. And we never talk about that perpetrator side. It's always the victims, when we talk about genocide here in this country. And so it seems to me like this Ken Burns Holocaust work kind of, it's putting our responsibility out there, right? We need to discuss, grapple with our complicity as a nation in the German Holocaust.
It's crazy, and there's a couple things that come to mind, and I did watch the first two, and the third one came on last night, and it was really a choice because it is so heavy. So heavy. But one of the things I want to give them a shout out too, that we've always kind of known this, and in the beginning of the documentary, they did talk about how Hitler used reservations as concentration camps, and before they were gassing the Jews and murdering the Jews, they put them in very small ghettos,
Right.
like the U.S. did to us natives.
Right. The Nazis referred to reservations as cages. That's the word they use, cages. And they modeled their final solution national policy off of U.S. policy for the extermination of Native people. I mean, they were open about it. They imported it almost wholesale. A lot of federal policy.
I think it was in Mein Kampf too, the Hitler's book. I think how he looked up to it, I think was another thing that they brought up. Just we had a break here, and but I just want to say one more thing about that. How our Minnesota-born Lindbergh was such a Nazi. I heard about it, but they showed footage, speeches, and many speeches of how he was. So it's weird how history changes as we get older or as time goes on, because he's such a big hero. Lindbergh was named after a terminal here in Minnesota, and on and on and on.
Yeah. Is that in the Ken Burns piece, what you just talked about? I'm going to watch the first one tonight. Yeah, you've motivated me.
Yeah, it is. It is. And it's amazing because, again, I did not know how crazy Lindbergh was. And he loved Hitler, and he loved the Germans, and he wanted to move there.
Wow.
Yeah, and he was giving FDR a big hard time. But hey, let's talk some great stuff of what's happening on the Avenue next. And now that we've touched a little bit about our national stuff, I'm here with Robert Lilligren, and we'll be right back after this short break. Stay with us, please. Hey, Wendy, what are we doing for dinner after the show?
How about we go to J. Selby's on 169 Victoria Street in St. Paul? They have a delicious plant-based menu that's compassionate and environmentally sustainable.
I'm getting their spot-on vegan Big Mac, the dirty secret.
You can pick up and they deliver within a 5-mile radius, or you can call them at 651-222-3263 or visit jselbys.com.
Well, you sold me, Wen. Let's go order at J. Selby's tonight.
I'm hungry.
Join AM 950 for movie night Wednesday, October 12th at 6:30 p.m. at Crooner's Supper Club in Fridley.
Are you removing black voters from the voter rolls just so you can win this election?
And today to come out and not be able to vote, it bothers me to my core.
We'll be showing Greg Palast's new film, Vigilante, Georgia's Vote Suppression Hitman, and Rick Smith will be there to meet and greet listeners and host a post-movie panel about voter suppression. The event is free, but you must register at am950radio.com.
Hi, Minneapolis. This is Randy Rhodes. Listen to me. Weeknights, 10 to midnight, AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Hi, my name is Pamela Topchian. I'm a former nurse, published author, and board-certified hypnotherapist with hypnobreakthrough.com. Do you feel stuck in a rut? Finding yourself wondering if this is all there is to life? Tired of just existing? Hypno Breakthrough can help you to reduce stress, release fears, gain confidence, and reach your life's goals holistically, mindfully, and gently. So I ask you, what changes would you like to see in your life? Let's talk about it. Contact me, Pamela Topchian, board-certified hypnotherapist, to schedule your free consultation, which includes a complimentary stress-reducing sample session, so you can see how it feels for yourself before any commitments are made. Go to hypnobreakthrough.com for all the information. That's hypnobreakthrough.com.
Hi, I'm Claire Ferreira, president and owner of Standard Heating and Air Conditioning. Ever since my grandfather founded Standard over 90 years ago, word-of-mouth advertising and referrals from our customers have always been important. That's why, after serving over 500,000 customers, we're proud to have a 4.9-star average rating out of 5 on our online reviews. Check them out for yourself and find out more at standardheating.com. That's standardheating.com.
Hi, this is Chad from AM 950. Snap Construction is arguably the most well-reviewed roofing, siding, window, and insulation contractor in the metro. Ryan is so excited about working with AM 950 and our listeners that he wants to help us grow.
This is Ryan, owner of Snap Construction. I was friends with Chad long before I started marketing with him. I was a bit skeptical of radio advertising before Chad convinced us to run ads. The advertising's been so successful, we want to help the station grow. We've absolutely loved working with the listeners of AM 950, and we all know how extremely important this radio station is to the community. To help AM 950 grow this summer, Snap Construction will be putting up proceeds to assist the station in marketing on social media. Snap Construction encourages you to follow, engage, share, and interact on the AM 950 social media platforms. Together, we can all work to ensure AM 950 continues to thrive and grow in our communities. We stand by our work with a lifetime craftsmanship guarantee. For a free estimate or more information on our financing, call 612-333-SNAP or check us out online.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lulia. Partly cloudy tonight with a low of 47, then showers and storms on Friday with a high of 56. Crooner Supper Club has an exciting mix of shows on 3 stages to round out the summer season. Find the concert experience that's right for you at croonersmn.com. Crooner Supper Club, just north of 694 off Central Avenue in Fridley.
Bonjour, I am Oshawashko Gijig. I'm from Red Lake Nation, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake.
This portion of the show is brought to you by MN350, a grassroots organization working for climate justice, or fighting for climate justice, And I just want to remind everybody, in case the conversation doesn't get around to this, that the Four Sisters Farmers Market, which is a project of NACD, is closing on October 28th. So if you have not gotten over there yet, as we're coming fast into October, make sure you get over there before they close.
Yeah. Hey, good point. Hey, this is Robert Pilot, and I'm with Robert Lilligren of Native American Community Development Institute, NADKI, in here, the Twin Cities, Minneapolis. And Robert, if you don't mind, I just want to finish reading this post about reservation dogs, just another paragraph, because it really hits me. And when Willie Jack felt her ancestors touch her shoulder, and she let out a oh crap, let's just say that's a moment I can't describe, but can only say I've been fortunate enough to experience. I never thought a show could capture such a beautiful experience. I'm continually blown away by the show. Thank you for existing, Reservation Dogs. Again, I'll probably be watching that again tonight, Robert, and it's great TV, and we know a lot of the people that are involved with it, which even makes it a lot more fun, and it's giving a Native voice with Native actors, Native producers, Native workers, Native script writers, Native directors, and that's just a beautiful thing. I mean, I don't think we've experienced anything close to that since Reservation Dog, or since Smoke Signals.
Right. No, it's a new day in media, right? With Native people steering our own narrative in these major media markets, and so let's support it.
Yeah. And I got to just say, too, a big shout out to Civic Media Network that we're on, and AM 950 here in the Twin Cities, for giving us a chance almost 6 years ago to speak our truths and get people, great guests like you and Mary Kunish, Winona LaDuke, Dr. Stately, and all these celebrities across Turtle Island that have stopped in and spoke their truth on our show. I just want to give them a big shout out.
Shout out to you and Ogaman, all of your hard work, and now you're a media empire, right?
Yeah.
Didn't take long.
Well, Ogama works hard, that's all I have to say.
He does. She's one of the hardest working people I know.
Right. Well, hey, do you want to touch a little bit more about Ken Burns's, or should we move on and see what's going on in Franklin? I'm glad you're going to watch it tonight. And somebody posted too that they just finished the third one, and it was amazing. And for me, wow, it's going to be hard. I might be able to watch it tomorrow night, but not tonight.
Right. Well, and at first I thought maybe I could binge watch a few episodes here, but now I'm thinking, no, care for yourself. Those things are hard to watch, And
right.
Yeah. And And going back to the earlier conversation, the one you walked in on in the office today when you were visiting Four Sisters Farmers Market. But those conversations are hard to be in as well. And the conversation you walked in on was amongst the Native folks. And so we were very supportive of each other. And that's really what we were talking about. But a lot of this goes on talking to non-Native folks, and they don't even get it. I think often the attitude feels like, you should be lucky that this non-Native person is interested in your story, and they don't even see how telling those stories, that truth telling is re-traumatizing, right? And
right.
In the meeting before the meeting you walked in, there was a lot of conversation, there were a lot of tears, there were a lot of people going off camera, because these are hard conversations to have.
Yeah, and I can imagine. And with trauma, I mean, people have been traumatized. Sometimes bring that with them if they aren't healed to other relationships and businesses and jobs, and it's hard to step back and go, this person is hurting, as
Right.
opposed to becoming defensive, which is our first inkling.
Right. Well, I agree. And a couple things I want to say to that. One is that, as you know, the organization I work for, NACD, we go into these kind of unfriendly spaces. We often go work with non-Native institutions or governments or corporations and give them the opportunity to learn how to authentically engage the Native community. And that's risky in itself, going into those spaces, losing community support to do that. So we're always very deliberate about keeping ourselves anchored in community through things like the Four Sisters Farmers Market and Miigwech Ogama for the plug earlier, much appreciated. And the other thing about those conversations, like I was touching on earlier, the burden falls so much on the people on the victim side of the trauma, the violence that caused the trauma that was inflicted, and things like the Ken Burns Holocaust documentary series, like this work we're doing down in the Central Riverfront, is starting to identify that privilege and maybe withhold the privilege to live in that kind of comfortable side of the parallel trauma, and it's interesting. People respond. People respond in unexpected ways.
Yeah, go ahead, Ogama.
I think one of the things that people forget when we talk about history is that if it's not making you uncomfortable, you're not actually studying history. You're not learning what really happened if you're not feeling some sort of discomfort in the process. And there's a lot of privilege, like you said, of people that have been taught history from their own perspective or their own people's perspective, and it feels comfortable and is something to be proud of. But I think most parts of history for most parts of the world are not something to be proud of. They're things that we simply need to learn from, and it's not a happy subject.
Right. Beautifully said, Ogama. Beautifully said. And that just comes forward so much in this work, right? And it's something that people on the other side, the perpetrator side of inflicting this violence, just don't really ever have to kind of deal with it, right? So I feel really fortunate to be in a place where we get to do this. And just, I mean, as a quick example of what Ogama was just talking about, and just this little piece of access that I have into the system and stuff, and I'm a member of our regional government here in the Twin Cities. It's called the Metropolitan Council. Met Council runs our transit system, or the most of our transit, which is called Metro Transit. And Metro Transit has been launching this new transport bus model. It's called Arterial Bus Rapid Transit. It's a faster model. It runs on city streets. It's really been an equity investment in some of the communities that are the least served by transit. So it's a big deal, cool thing. And the D line, which if you're from Minneapolis, it replaces the 5, which goes up all the way from Mall of America to Brooklyn Center. It's a backbone kind of bus route. So the D line is going to open up, and it goes right through. Would go right through 38th in Chicago, which is where George Floyd was murdered, and now George Floyd Square. And so people are very sensitive about that. The city of Minneapolis is doing a great job. We're diverting the route so we can open the line. It will not go through there. But I had an internal meeting with transit staff and Met Council staff around this planning and how to navigate this and be sensitive. And we're following the city of Minneapolis lead. But this came up, Ogama, what you're talking about. And I just said, the one thing I want to say is, and I just said, you need to make space in yourself to sit with what you're going to hear about the trauma that we've inflicted. And we're the government, we're the regional government. We haven't been actively inflicting trauma, but we're going to hear a lot about that. And it's good. We should. And we as a unit of government need to own it, embrace it, allow for it. And I was just kind of prep these guys, these these mostly white staffers, so they don't just turn defensive like you were talking about, so that they can own their roles.
That this whole conversation makes me think of a few things. Our lieutenant governor talks about being in places that she puts it a lot more eloquently that that normally Native women or Native people are not welcomed. We have our politicians like Heather Keeler and going through I don't know what responses of we're in this work. What do you do? I'm trying to spit out, what do you do to protect yourself? What do you do when you're in these places? I mean, Ogama and I talk about, we have to smudge off after this certain thing or whatever. But what do you do to protect yourself, Robert? You've been in this, and I don't want to say game, but you've been in this activity for a very long time.
Great question. I smudge a lot today, especially this week. Like I said, it's just been a heavy emotional labor week. Smudge a lot. Recognize my ancestors that are supporting me, standing with me, stay in community. The last few days has been an incredible expression of community around one of our Native sisters who we felt was being disrespected and attacked as part of a project we're part of. And man, did folks come together. So I would, and then this is kind of my technique or whatever. It's not as Indigenous, but to acknowledge that when I'm in those spaces, yes, I'm me, Robert Lilligren, whoever I am, but I'm also in a role, right? I'm a representative in the government, or I'm an agency head or whatever, and that any damage or attacks or things like that are being directed at me aren't being directed at the sort of essential me. They're being directed at this role. And then when I'm done with the role, I can take it off and put it aside, and then I can be me again. And that kind of ability to I don't know, code switch, I don't know what it is, but to recognize when I'm kind of in a role and when I'm really myself, that has been key to not self-destructing in 25 years of public life. So
yeah,
that's my technique.
Well, I'm going to give you a choice here. We're going to break here in about a minute. You can hang on if you're able to and finish the show off with us, or if you got somewhere to go, Ogama and I can talk behind your back. Oh, wow.
I can stay if that's what you like. Sure, I'll stay. It's always
that'd be great. That's awesome. I think we're talking about some things that I like to backtrack for our allies out there when we're talking about our smudging and what that all entails, and kind of break that down too. So I'm here with Robert Lilligren, really excited. Our Thursday talk, he's CEO of the Native American Community Development Institute NATKI in the Twin Cities, Minneapolis, and then also here with Ogama with the news and her great help with the show. And we'll be right back after the short break. You're listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake.
Minnesotans age 65 plus might qualify for Health Partners Minnesota Senior Health Options. The plan includes personal support, coverage for medical, prescription drugs, and dental, plus over 30 extra benefits. Eligibility information is available at healthpartners.com/oneplan. Health Partners is a health plan that contracts with both Medicare and the Minnesota Medical Assistance Medicaid program to provide benefits of both programs to enrollees. Enrollment in Health Partners depends on contract renewal.
Hey, Ogama, I've been hearing a lot about this term, climate justice. What is that?
Climate justice is recognizing that the negative impacts of climate change don't affect all people equally. It also means transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more sustainable future. MN350 is one of the groups that's pushing for this transition to protect our futures. You can even get involved too.
That's great, especially since I'm concerned about pipeline projects like Line 3. How can I help MN350?
Just find them on Facebook or visit mn350.org.
Ramsey County's Transforming Systems Together initiative is rethinking how the county delivers services and invests in the community, including through grants. Grants are available to support individuals and organizations providing prevention services and serving vulnerable youth involved in child protection and foster care. To learn more and see if you or your organization qualifies, visit ramseycounty.us/TST grants. Applications are due by September 30th.
Minnesota has the only original wolf population in the continental United States, and 80% of Minnesotans believe the wolf should be protected. Howling for Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager, the wolf. Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy. As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired. Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl.
Hi, I'm Jane Fonda, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
And we're back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is brought to you by Howling for Wolves, protecting wolves for future generations.
Hey, we're here with Robert Lilligren with Native American Community Development Institute, NADKI, here in the Twin Cities in Minneapolis. And we know you do a lot more than that, but I just want to introduce you in a good way. Hey, I just saw something on Facebook, Robert. Your good friend Peggy Flanagan's birthday's today? What?
No way. Is it really? How did I miss that? Is it really?
I just saw it 21 minutes ago, posted on her for Lieutenant Governor page.
Okay. All right. Thanks for the reminder. I feel horrible. Oh, yeah, there she is, blowing out her birthday candles.
Yeah. Wow.
I love it. Yeah, I'm so proud of her.
Open the show with that. Darn, I didn't even know that.
I didn't either, so my bad there.
Well, what would you like to talk about? I think, I'd like, pull the conversation in different and weird places, and there's so many good things that you're involved with. I'd like you to speak your truth and give you an opportunity here in this a little bit in this last segment.
Oh gosh, that could be dangerous. It's giving me the floor like that. There's so much going on, but I really wanted to talk about, Ogama gave that nice promotion for the Four Sisters Farmers Market. It's a signature project of NACD. It's, along with the art gallery, All My Relations Arts, Four Sisters is probably our next most visible project. And so just kind of talk a little about what's going on along Franklin Avenue, or as we call it, the American Indian Cultural Corridor. I know you both are very familiar with the place, but it's sort of the heart of the Native community, kind of the main street of the Native community. And a great thing happened there this week. I don't know if you were there. I didn't see you there, Robert, but you may have been there when I wasn't. But we had voter registration. It was National Voter Registration Day.
On Tuesday.
On Tuesday, right. And so there was a great partnership. It was at American Indian OIC right there on the Hiawatha Light Rail Station. With a partnership as a national partner, National Urban Indian Families Coalition provided the funding, but it was organizations like Indian Health Board, the OIC, Native American Community Clinic, even the city of Minneapolis, Hennepin County Libraries, the neighborhood organization, Minnesota Voice. And were you there, Robert? I wasn't there the whole time. I was there for a while.
Tuesday. On my real job that you helped me get elected, and I still don't know if I should thank you or curse you, but that's Tuesdays are a busy day for me, so I wasn't able to.
Okay, cool. It was great. It was all these partners. Of course, voter registration was key in voter education. Our good friend Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan was there. Candidates for local offices, mostly school board, were there. We have 2 Native candidates running to join, a Native member already on on the school board, and so that was really enthusiastic. But then there was the state health department was doing COVID vaccines and giving $50 gift card incentives. So the line was very long for the COVID vaccines. There was great food, all kinds of information tables. League of Women Voters was out there helping us register voters. And it was just a huge thing. It was the second year we've done this event, this partnership, which grows, but it was just a huge event, great event for the community.
I think I was at that event. Was it? It was during kind of COVID, and we were all wearing masks. And I think is that right up or
right up at OIC, the American Indian OIC? It was very cold and kind of
yes.
Yeah.
So, I was there.
Yeah, cool. That was the first one. This one was 20 times smoother and everything. But that was a great event. And then I just wanted to give a little shout out and promotion for the show that's just getting mounted and loaded into our gallery, All My Relations Arts Gallery, right there on the Cultural Corridor, right in the same building Powwow Grounds is in, where the NACD offices are. And there's this new show that is called She Who Lives on the Road to War. She Who Lives on the Road to War. I think that title is really moving. And it's Rosie Seamus Dance Company. And it's both an installation and a performance. I think there are going to be 15 performances. You can go to the All My Relations Arts website to get more information about how you get tickets for performances, and then this installation. And they're just loading it in. I was there today, so it's just getting loaded in, and it's really going to be something. And
that's somebody we need to get on. Rosie, I talked to her on the show again. And promote that. That's totally exciting that she's going to be down there.
It's so exciting, and as folks may or may not know, Rosie Seamus is the daughter of Laura Waterman Whitstock, one of our elders that has passed just recently or in the last year or so, and AIM founder and actually a co-founder of my organization, and so a revered community presence. And Rosie's work is so creative, and it was a world premiere of this piece, and it opened at the Wiseman Art Museum last night, and then it's sort of a parallel opening at the All My Relations Arts. It'll open, I think, on Sunday, but I would check the All My Relations Arts website to be sure.
Yeah, that is exciting, and she's been a artist in the community for many years. And again, talking about her mom, who was a part of AIM and a McGeezy, and when all those things were happening in the 70s that were groundbreaking. So she's got her family's been involved, including herself, for a long time in the community.
Agree, and she's just a really strong voice for Native artists, right? And Native arts, and in the realm of dance, that kind, of I don't even know what you call it, concert dance or classical dance, but not traditional Native dancing, but in the more Western arts world, and there's not a lot of voices and Native presence in that world, and so it's good to support her. We've done other projects together. They're just always really moving, profound. There's statements, so I'm looking forward to this one.
It's a interpretive dance in a sense.
Interpretive dance, sure. That's I'm not a performance guy, a dance guy, so I feel like
and the other word I was looking for is Ogama is a great contributor to the show. I was stumbling on that earlier too. So one of these days we'll have a really smooth show, and I'll keel over dead. But yeah, so, and then we got the great coffee shop that's right there too, and it's just always a great vibe, and you don't know who you're going to run into, and that's always fun. And then you run into people that you expect to run into, like yourself. And
right, it's amazing how many times I'll be in the office. Our offices are right off the Powwow Grounds coffee shop. We have windows there and stuff. And I'll be like, oh, I really need to connect with so-and-so about this. And I'll look out in the coffee shop, and sure enough, there she is. It's like, okay, wow. I needed to talk to you. I mean, that happens all the time.
Wow. Yeah, that's great. That's a great vibe and everything. So I just want to always throw out a great shout out to you again for stopping in. And I think what you bring to the show is all this information for not only reminding our relatives in a good way, but also our white allies, which we need out there, and they really can feel your sincerity of how you love your community.
Very kind. Thank you for your kind words. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Well, that was Robert Lilligren of Native American Community Development Institute in Natke, and thanks again, Robert, for stopping in and howling with us too, and hanging on that long. I really appreciate it. Have a great night.
Miigwech, you too. Take care.
I'm removing the wrong stuff here. While that, yeah, you like that? I'm struggling. That's always great to see Robert Ogama. And again, I wanted to just say, how much of a great contributor you are to this and to the community. I know you do a lot of other things too. I don't like to advertise that because it takes away the great work you do here. No, just kidding. But you do a lot of great stuff, and appreciate it. Appreciate you and your family. I just want to give you a shout out. If you're listening to the show, you are part of the resistance. From Chief Plenty Coops, the ground in which we stand on is sacred ground. It is the blood of our ancestors. We need to resist, divest, join a group, run for office. We are still here. We are the 7th generation. Free Leonard Peltier now.
Nightingale is your cozy, comfortable neighborhood restaurant in the Whittier neighborhood at